Hello, welcome to my channel. I do a lot of things, but in my spare time, one of the things I enjoy doing the most is crocheting prosthetic penises for people on the internet. I just crochet packers and then put them up on my Instagram account called Packers for Pals, and then I ship them to people. I started it about a month ago and I've really enjoyed watching it grow, so I intend to keep doing it. But here I wanted to show you how I do it, in case you're curious or in case you want to make one of your own. I promise it's a lot easier than it sounds. Crocheting is pretty easy once you get the hang of it, and I'm going to put a bunch of links in the description below if you want to learn how to do things like single crochet or half double crochet and all the other stuff I talk about in this video. So all of those terms will be defined below. Do a couple practice rounds and then you'll be okay. So with all of that said, let's get started. I'm using some leftover yarn for this packer. Usually I'll take scrap yarn or secondhand yarn from one of the art supply resale stores in the area, but today this is just leftover yarn from another project I did recently. When picking your yarn, you're going to want to use DK weight, about a 3, or worsted weight, about a 4. We're starting with the shaft. Now first thing we do is make our slip knot. Again, tutorials on how to do this are below. Next, chain somewhere around 10 to 15 chains depending on the weight of your yarn and the size you're going for. For DK weight yarn, you're going to want to do closer to 15, and for worsted weight, you're going to want to do closer to 12. Now we're going to take our first chain and connect it to our last stitch with a half double crochet. Then just half double crochet for a really long time. Eventually, when you're at maybe 2.5 inches, start forming the head. We do this by increasing and then decreasing our stitches. So to increase, half double crochet twice into the same stitch, then do a couple normal half double crochets, and do that process 3-ish times or until you've got it all the way around and you have the start to the head. Next, you have a choice. You can either single crochet into full stitches or single crochet into the back loop only. If you do the back loop only, you'll have a more defined head. It's totally up to you, whatever you want to do. Here, I'm doing the back loop only. I recognize that this isn't the most precise way to crochet, but packers are so hard to mess up that I don't want to make it overly complicated when I don't have to. Normally I follow patterns much closer than this, but this is what I'm doing and I haven't had any complaints so far, so. Next, start decreasing. That means single crocheting into 2 stitches and then doing 2 normal single crochets for a round. You'll want to decrease and then do 1 normal single crochet for another round. Do rounds like this until there's a hole at the tip of the shaft that's pretty small. It doesn't need to be closed, but it does need to be small. Then tie off, leave a medium length tail, and that's the shaft. Now it's time for the balls. Remember how many stitches you started with earlier. Make a chain of 2 to 3 more stitches than you used for the circumference of the shaft. When you get to the end of that, you're going to want to half double crochet into the second from last stitch and go up the other way. When you get back to that first stitch, put 3 half double crochets into that stitch. Keep going all the way around. When you've got a good base, pick a side to start decreasing on. Every round when you get to that point, you're going to decrease there. When the sack is a few rounds from being where you want it to be, start decreasing on all sides. So where you were decreasing originally, at both ends, and at the opposite side. You can tie off at one of the corners. Leave a long tail. Okay, so something happened with my camera, and the end of that video simply did not record. So I made another packer, and I'll show you how to wrap that up here. Finally, it's time to assemble it. Take your stuffing and lightly, big emphasis on lightly, stuff both pieces. If you overstuff, it's going to get weird. So take the ends you've left and start sewing up the top of the scrotum. You want to tie it up completely and then bring it back to the center. Next, weave in the tail on the bottom of the scrotum. Then take the shaft and sew it onto the scrotum. Tie it off and weave in that end. Then take the last bit of the tail from the top of the ball sack and sew it to that connection on the shaft a little bit more, just to make it a little bit more secure. Tie up and weave in that end. Then sew up the hole at the tip of the shaft and weave in that end. Cut off the extra bits of yarn and then you have a packer. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Improving and expanding access to gender-affirming items is a passion of mine, so being able to share this with you is really exciting. Follow Packers for Pals on Instagram if you feel so inclined, and follow me here for more videos of me making things. Thanks!